Everyone wants the six pack of the body, but they don't want the six pack of the mind. And I think you only get the six pack of the mind from reading books.
Welcome into another episode of Adventures in Business Live. Mandi and Mandi are here. Mandi, how are we doing today?
Hi, everybody. I'm awesome. Day before St. Patrick's Day. It's the month of luck. I'm feeling lucky. Amani, how do you feel about luck? Like, what's your thoughts on luck?
A little skeptical on luck, but they say luck is when I forget the little saying, but preparation, opportunity, and luck kind of all in one.
Yeah.
So, yes, luck, maybe a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, I like luck. We actually, this year, we bought every month in our house, we have like last month was the month of love, and this is the month of luck. I don't know. I think April's like the month of renewal or something because it's spring. But we read some people read their scriptures every night. We actually every morning read from the book of luck.
Oh,
And
really?
and in one of the pages it says the luckiest names, and then there were lucky cities, and then today it talked about luck and putting yourself in situations where you can be lucky. And I really like that because I believe in luck, but I don't think all luck is like happenstance. I think you have to be conscious about putting yourself in lucky situations, and you can amplify the luck. So
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna write something about luck today and post it tomorrow because I'm into luck. I feel like a lucky parker a lot when I drive and I'm in the parking lot. I get good parking, and I win raffle prizes sometimes. I feel like I've got a little luck on my side, but I if I can tap into like amplifying the luck, I want to get in on that.
So I got to tell you, this story has nothing to do with luck, but I still want to share it with you because
let's hear it.
So this past weekend I went to a concert. So I went to go see Keith Sweat and Joe, R&B legends. Do you know any songs by either of those two artists?
I know of Keith Sweat, but I don't know any of those songs.
You probably would know his song. His big song is Twisted or whatever. You probably have heard that one a lot because they played a lot like the late 90s, early 2000s.
You want to sing it? You want to sing me a bar?
No, can't do that. Can't do that. Can't do that. But it was just interesting. It was cool because remember one of the goals on my bingo board is to go to a new music show in Vegas. So I checked that off.
Yeah. Where'd you go? What venue?
It's at the Virgin Hotel, the theater there. So it's a good venue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So so back in the day, I would take a lot of Keith Sweat songs and either play them over the phone to the ladies I was trying to court, or I would make mixtapes, and him and Joe were mainstays on the mixtapes. So as he was playing these songs, I kept having flashbacks and memories. It was great. Isn't
it great when you could do something like that brings back like some good vibes and good feelings of like a different time?
Yeah.
That's in your book. You actually mentioned in your book, you mentioned about how you used to make mixtapes for the girls, and you would just call them and just play the music and just let it ride.
And they get nervous and hang up. But anyways, I digress.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I love it. I love a mixtape, Amani. I think it's
Tell us who is going to take us to class today. We're very excited to learn, ask some cool questions. Talk to us about our guest today.
We have a really, really cool guest today. It's a new friend. I just met him last month, and we're going to talk about how we met and probably talk a little bit about that experience. But we've got a guy. He's a builder. He's an investor. He's a mindset maven. He's funny. He's a podcast host. He tells a great story. He loves desserts. He's the CEO of Block Adventures, which is an investment firm and a media company. We have Justin Block with us today. Welcome, Justin.
Round of applause. We're going to get some applause here.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for being here.
We are excited to have you. I first have to ask you, I know that you work with and you have a co-host who of your own podcast who plays for the worst football franchise possible that they could play for. As a Washington Commanders fan, when I was doing my research and saw that your co-host was a Dallas Cowboy, I was like, Mandy, we got to cancel the interview. It's a wrap. I'm just kidding. But still,
Don't
welcome
be
to
a
the show.
sore loser, Amani.
How did that working relationship come to be? I'm really curious.
Well, first of all, I got nothing against the Cowboys. I'm a Jags fan, so like I feel like we're pretty
Okay,
neutral
that's
here.
better, much better.
Um,
That makes me happy.
but Nick's a great guy. Cowboys or not, whether you like the Cowboys or not, he's the man. But I met him honestly probably about a year ago. We were at a business event, and actually, it's sort of a funny story because I was trying to leave. I had to catch a flight, and I was with another buddy of mine. He was like, "Dude, you got to meet this guy Nick," and I was like, "Screw this guy Nick. I gotta make my flight, you know." And so he's convincing me. I'm like, "All right, fine. I'll move my flight back a little bit." I move my flight, meet this guy Nick, and we like hit it off immediately. So I'm really glad that my buddy convinced me to meet Nick, and we hit it off. Not talking about business, but actually talking about like personal development. I didn't even know he used to play in the NFL, and that came up. And then since that day, probably like just talked every day, and then woke up like a few months later, and he's like, "You want to do a podcast?" And I was like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "No, let's just do it." And so started a podcast together, and probably gonna do a lot more business together in the future. But yeah, he's a one of one, man. So I really appreciate Nick.
All right. Respect. I'm glad you're a Jags fan. Now, Mandy mentioned that you love desserts, and I have a very, very bad sweet tooth too. If you were going to pick one dessert that would be one that you could eat almost every night of the week, which dessert would that be?
You guys are asking tough questions already.
Right off the bat,
Come out of the gate hard.
unexpected questions.
That's actually really tough because I don't discriminate against dessert usually for the most part. So for me, it's probably like a good bread pudding with like some really good ice cream, or like a chocolate cake. Like again, I'm gonna go to like a cannoli. Like I could keep going, but probably if I had to really pick, it's probably between the bread pudding and the chocolate cake.
Okay. All right. We love a good chocolate cake. I love it. Mandy, we're going to go to you. I got the rest of my questions are on hold, but I'm pleased with your answer about the Cowboys and your dessert. So I'm good now. Mandy, over to you.
Justin, Amani loves pie. He loves pancakes.
Yeah.
So
And
what's
sweet
your
potato
stance?
pie. Sweet potato pie is my dessert.
What's your stance on pancakes, Justin?
I like pancakes too. I mean, I'm definitely more of a waffles kind of guy, but I think if you make them right, they'll be pretty good, like no matter what. So I like the thinner pancakes. Sometimes they get a little too fluffy, but I did see the other day. I don't know if y'all have seen. Have y'all seen those like giant pancakes from like Japan?
No.
The super fluffy ones.
Yeah, like
They look
souffle.
really good.
They almost look like a souffle kind of thing.
Yeah,
Really?
I want to try those.
Mm-hmm.
Let me add that to my list. Okay. Carry
Add to
on.
your list. Well, I want to pay you a compliment, Justin, because we met at Jesse Itzler's Built to Speak event last month in Atlanta, and we sat next to each other, and we got into a couple like quick, deep conversations about life, which I love, and I really love how you think. Like it's really deep, but I think one of your superpowers is your ability to distill like a really deep and meaningful thought process, to distill it down in a way that people really, really understand. So is that conscious? Like, are you wired that way? Like, did something happen that like you were like, okay, I want to simplify this and make this easier? Or is that like something that you've been personally working on?
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. Like I do intentionally work on it because I know, we were talking about this before the podcast. I struggle a lot in school, and like when things are complicated, I just don't like that. So I'm just like, how can I take something complicated and make it simple? And as I've gotten to meet a lot of people and do business deals, I think that's helped me for sure. And even just talking with people like we were conversating, right? So I've worked on it, and I think also just growing up around business and having great people in my life, I think that's just been part of it too. So I don't really know, honestly, but I think it's a little bit of both.
That's a superpower. I'd amplify it, man. It's a superpower. It makes it very comfortable to talk to you. I think you really put people at ease when you talk with them. Well, let's talk about that, because you grew up, you're fifth generation entrepreneur. You grew up in the family business. You're part of a big company, and then you exited, right? So can you just give us a little background on this, and then I'll have a follow up to the exit. But like, just give us a little background on the family business. What was your role? How did it feel like growing up in this business situation? Then I'll have an exit question for you.
Yeah. So growing up, I knew I wanted to be in business ever since I was probably like 6 years old. And so, like I was saying earlier, didn't have the best time in school, but as soon as I graduated college, I went right into the business and officially, grew up around it, working on weekends in the summer, stuff like that. But knew I wanted to run it one day. And then, but right before I was joining, we actually sold it, a piece of it. And then again, we sold it again. So we sold it twice. And so my dad, right before I joined, was graduating, because I was looking at other jobs. He was like, "You want to come in?" I was like, yeah. And so I said yes, and worked my way at the bottom, up until, I was helping run the sales team and running the business day to day up until we sold it again. But I think it's important to, if you are joining any company, to learn how all functions work. So they literally started me, not to say it's the bottom, but like, we were in the food and beverage industry, right? So we manufactured products. So I was in the kitchen, I was in supply chain, I was working with logistics, pricing, sales, marketing, you name it. And so I got to sit in board meetings, sort of from like day one, which is really cool. And I didn't know enough. I didn't know much. So I sort of got exposed to a lot of things. So for the first year and a half, I was drinking from a fire hose, as my dad likes to call it. And it felt like it. I was getting up early, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting to the office early, and I wasn't getting back till late. And I was just like, I was dead. I was like, my brain was just like, dude, we can't do anymore. You got to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so it was a fun journey. I was there for about 6 years, I think, before we sold it again. And so, family's been in the food and beverage industry for over 100 years, had multiple different businesses. This was our fourth company that we sold 5 times. So 5 exits. This one was twice. So just like from a young age, sort of like in my blood type of thing. And then the actual experience was a lot, working with family could be a whole podcast in of itself. There's days where it's the coolest thing ever. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love this. And there's days where I'm like, I don't want to see y'all for like 3 months. Don't fucking talk to me. But it was awesome. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Got to work with my dad. I had 2 other uncles in the business and a cousin as well. So it was really cool. And then just got to learn a ton. We were working with arguably some of the biggest brands in the world when it comes to the food and beverage space. So got to learn every day, try a bunch of new products. Like, dude, I got to try a bunch of cool pancakes. We actually had a sister portfolio company, which was a waffle business, but the batter could be applied to waffles and pancakes. So got to try a lot of cool products. So I had to stay in the gym a little bit. But the whole sale process was a lot of info. It was a lot, but it was a good experience. Got to learn a ton about what I liked, what I didn't like, and it just taught me a ton about business and leadership and how things. I think on Instagram things get a little bit too like I don't even know what the word is, but they make it look a lot easier than it really is sometimes.
Yes.
And I think especially nowadays when people want that instant gratification and just go on Instagram or go online and just see entrepreneurs like selling a company, or even in a lot of cases, when someone does sell a business, just because they might sell for, let's just make it up, $10 million, that doesn't mean they ended up with $10 million. Like they could have had investors, they could have had a bunch of debt. So in our case, we never raised any outside money. Like business was debt free, which is very rare, honestly, in the business world. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. But for me, it was a really cool experience. Glad I was able to do it. Got to work with my family, which is really cool. Still work with my family today. And just taught me a whole lot about what to do, what not to do, and got to meet a lot of cool people and still learning every day. So I'm really, really glad I did it. And it was a fun experience.
I love that. Well, I want to build on the selling of the company piece, because we just had an exit expert on. She runs an exit company. And I learned a lot from that podcast, because I think when people think about exiting, they do think selling their business, like they think about the liquidity of it. But what I learned from that podcast is exit also is a succession planning, right? And especially multiple generations. There's so much to the word exit. So, and there's a lot to the exit prep as well. So what did you do personally to prep for your first exit? And like, what would you do differently next time?
Yeah. So in our case, the first time we sold it, we stayed in, and then the second time we were completely out. So I think it just depends. Like for us, again, we knew the second time we were done. So you really got to set up your team to run the business day to day without you. And so in our case, we had a good amount of family members that were sort of running the day to day. So I think for me, if like you are starting a business now, I think you should build it to exit, even if you aren't going to sell, because when someone's buying a business, they're buying the business you have today, they're buying the people, and they're also buying the future potential. And honestly, in a lot of cases, most buyers are probably going to make even more money than the sellers are in most cases, because they're buying your business. They see a lot more potential, right? So for me, it was a lot about the people. Like, how can I get the best of the best set up to where I can take a 2-3 week month vacation, they don't need to call me, and the business still runs, it still grows. If there's a fire, they don't have to, call me or anyone in the family for permission. Like, they can just do their thing. So I think training is a big piece of that, finding expertise, people who have been there, done that, people who have done what you want to do, who have maybe sold a company that you could bring in as an operating partner or something like that. So in our case too, our business was very asset light. So they were really buying our IP, our people. So we knew like we had to set ourselves up to like sort of work ourselves out of a job in a way. We're like, my dad was a CEO. We had an outside president. He sort of was elevated to CEO in a sense. We had a head of finance who was more taking over the CFO role for my uncles, like a bunch of salespeople who were running the sales team, right, and their respective divisions. So it was a lot of just putting people in places to be successful, to where that anyone who could come in here could say, all right, let's remove the family, let's put in our people, and we're still running the day to day. And that's, a lot simpler than what actually goes on. Because I think once you remove certain people, culture also gets affected, all that kind of stuff. But as you are looking to sell a company, I'm really big on, how can I set this up where I'm not really needed? And I think that's the difference between a business owner and a business operator. And I learned this about myself too. You talked about like, what did you learn? I learned that I don't love being an operator for the most part. Like I think I can do it. I think there's a lot more people out there who are better at it than I am. And so I'd rather be the business owner where I can invest in businesses, which is what I do now. And I do start companies, and I do have companies that, we own ourselves, but I'd rather much be not in the weeds day to day, and come in as needed. And I would rather be investing in buying businesses versus running one particular company. I'd rather have the portfolio. So, just a lot about people, setting people up for success, making sure that, a buyer comes in, they see the future potential of your business, setting up current business, making sure margins are good, future margins, future business is pretty much, there's a pathway there. It's not just here's my deck and it looks all nice and pretty, but like there's actual, like, you can call a customer and be like, hey, are these guys legit? Are we going to do some business? Is this project real? Are these quality of earnings real? Like all this kind of stuff, right? So a lot of things in making sure the finances, there's so much nuance when it comes to this stuff. It's a long process, but hopefully that answers your question for the most part.
Yeah. And then some. Yeah, it was great. Thank you.
So I want to kind of make a little bit of a slight left turn and ask you about the 100 books a year that you read. And what are you reading right now is my first question. Then I'm going to go from there.
So I'm reading multiple books right now. I like to read. The reason I'm able to get to 100 plus a year is because I read multiple at the same time. And it's not like and I have to preface this because it's not like I'm reading every single word. Like I might read something and like skip a chapter and come back. But right now I'm reading Herding Tigers, which is a book about leading creatives. I'm reading a Jim Rohn book. I think it's 7 Habits for Health and Happiness or something. It's like a classic personal development book. It's awesome. And then I'm reading Rick Rubin's book, and I forget the name of that. It's the one with the circle on it.
I got it back there. Yeah.
That's been cool. And then I just finished this book, The 5 Types of Wealth by Sahil.
Okay.
It was pretty good. So I'm usually reading something, and I'm a big believer in, I think it was Jim Rohn who said this too. It was just, never miss a meal, or never miss reading, but you can miss a meal. And so I get 15, 20, 30 minutes in a day. And it's sort of like, I don't know, cleansing my mind or like working out my brain. And so I've just been doing that probably for the past 6 or 7 years. And those books range from mainly business and personal development. And I might do I do a lot of psychology books as well. And I might stray far out, but for the most part, it's either rereading a lot of books that I like, or finding some new ones or some old ones. And I actually was just reading one of Charlie Munger's old books too, which is really good. So a little bit of everything.
Okay. Why do you think, your opinion, that reading is such like a lost art nowadays? Like people don't read as much as they used to. Why do you feel that's the case?
Because we got these things, man. Everyone's addicted to this thing. There's actually studies like this. You can go back 6 or 7, I think 8 years ago, where it shows like we have a shorter attention span than a goldfish. So it's not good. But I think people don't read for a lot of reasons. I think, we were talking about school again, I think, and again, I'm not trying to diss school here, but for me, when I went to class, it was like school sort of made me hate reading and hate learning, because it was like forcing me to learn stuff I didn't really care about. And then when I got out of school, I didn't do that until I got into business, really. And so I think for a lot of people that also happens too, where they are just like told to read this book or do all this stuff, and they're just like, I don't want to do this. And so they never actually pick up a book again. And I think the phone has something to do with it. But I think especially nowadays, if you're not reading, like, you're just going to get left in the dust, because a lot of people are using like AI just to like outsource their thinking. But like I was saying earlier, like everyone wants the six pack of the body, but they don't want the six pack of the mind. And I think you only get the six pack of the mind from reading books. Like it takes work to focus on and flip a page and take some notes versus listening on an audiobook or watching YouTube or just, going on your phone, whatever. So for me, I think I don't want to say it's a lost art, because a lot of people do read and stuff still, but at least for my generation, there's a lot of people who don't read business or personal development stuff. So when I do find someone who does, I'm like, oh, we could be friends. But yeah, I just think it's really important, especially as, attention spans get shorter. Like we're on our phones, social media, all that kind of stuff. Like people are busy, man. Like I show you all my calendar this week. You'd be like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I know, but
Same.
to find the time to like do stuff. So I think it's just a lot of different reasons. But to me, if I don't read every day, like I know I'm slacking, I'm getting behind, because there's someone else out there who is. And I don't think you got to read all the new books too. There's a lot of great old books out there. And reading changed my life, man. Like I read probably 2 or 3 books back here that changed my life. So I'm a big proponent of reading.
Hey friends, how many times have you read a boring business book that tells you about the same tactics over and over and over again? Get comfortable at being uncomfortable. Don't forget to manage your time. All these silly things that we know, right? When you read my book, Sales Tales, The Hustle, Humor, and Lessons of a Life in Sales, I promise you, there's nothing boring about it. It goes in the order of a standard sale, from prospecting all the way through asking for the sale. And it's hilarious stories and statistics that will help you grow your business, relate to the actual business of being an entrepreneur or a salesperson, and it will give you practical, tactical, digestible snacks that you can apply immediately after reading. So head over to wherever you buy your books and look for Mandi Graziano, Sales Tales, The Hustle, Humor, and Lessons from a Life in Sales. Can't wait to hear what you think.
Well, that's a good segue, because my next question, then we'll get back to you, Mandi. Welcome back. We see you there.
Thank you. Live show. Where'd Mandi go?
If you were going to recommend, let's say, 3 books that people absolutely should stop what they're doing like right now and read immediately, what are those 3 books?
Asking the good questions, man. Number 1, I would say, is Man's Search for Meaning. Have you guys read that book?
Viktor Frankl. Yes. Yes.
So that's probably my favorite book of all time. Like if I had to pick one book, I'm picking that one. Dang. I really love Tony Robbins, so I'd go Awaken the Giant Within. Okay. I think that's a classic one. So much amazing content in there, from like values, beliefs, all that kind of stuff. His like all of his work. And then probably number 3. Oh man, I love the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. He's one of my favorite authors.
Oh yeah, good choices. Okay.
So I would say those 3, and just the 5 a.m. Club's more of like a fun one, because it reads more like a fiction, but it's a little bit of both. And so I love his writing style. So I'll go those 3.
I love it. Great recommendations. Back to you, Mandi.
I want to build on reading for a second, because I don't know how you feel about this, Justin, but I feel like when I'm reading, when I'm in a cadence of reading, and I read every day. And I actually love like physical books, which everybody has a different modality of how they like to read, whether, they like to listen or read, all that's fine. I just like a physical book that I can like page mark stuff and put notes in or whatever. But I feel like when I'm reading, I'm a better writer. I'm more present. I speak better. I can articulate words better. Like, how do you find yourself navigating the world when you are reading versus when you're not reading? Like, can you tell a difference on your mindset?
100%. Like if you put me in a room and you give me like 15 minutes and I can just read one of these books, or like I'm thinking differently. And so one of my first coaches that I ever hired, his name was Jim Fannin. I think Jim's 85, 86 now. Works with top athletes, Alex Rodriguez, a lot of professionals that are still, pro tennis players, golfers, baseball players today, a lot of high-level executives. He would always tell me, you got to think about what you think about. And so I think when I always heard that, I was like, what do you mean? He's like, Justin, we're all awake, but we're not all aware. So when I was reading, I was becoming a lot more aware of like, the thoughts that I had in my brain, because you are what you think about, in a sense,
Mhm.
right? So when I would put good thoughts in my brain, like they're just words, but they become your thoughts, right? So when I would do that, I would feel better and I would be thinking differently. And so those thoughts would change my actions and those actions would change, my life, right? So for me, yeah, you talk about if I'm picking up the phone first thing in the morning and I'm scrolling Instagram and versus I'm reading a Tony Robbins book or I'm reading 5 a.m. Club, like there is a noticeable difference in my mindset. And it's because it's what I'm feeding myself. Um, so I think it plays a big part in how you think and how you think about things, can tie back to your beliefs and values and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's a big difference. And, I think my best mornings are when I can read a little bit and I can hit the sauna and hit the cold plunge and
It's
work
a
out.
great morning. Who doesn't love that morning? It's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
great
yeah.
morning.
You got to feed your mind, like, just like we were saying earlier, that, you got to feed your body, but I think it's more important to feed your mind good stuff. And, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, are not aware of what they are feeding their mind. But I know I can pretty much pinpoint, not the day, but like the moment where my life really changed. It was when I started picking up these business books, personal development books. Like my life really did. Like it was a decision, but then you learn this information, and that information can change your life. And the way they talk, the way they speak, the way they write. I was listening to Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, Wayne Dyer, all these guys, and you sort of like program yourself with their thinking, and it
Yeah.
becomes part of who you are, and you put your own spin on it. But um, shoot, what's that saying? There's like it's like tell a lie big enough, loud enough, and long enough, and it becomes true. Y'all ever heard that?
Yeah.
It's like a Hitler quote or something. It's true, I think, in the sense of like, you can say crazy shit and then people will believe it. But I think the opposite is true. Where like if you can just feed yourself good things will happen. And so I'm a big believer in that. And I'm not like this positive thinking, like, oh, I'm a billionaire, but I'm not a billionaire yet. Like, I'm super in shape, but I'm not like, I'm a realistic. But I think if you can feed yourself, yeah, good words, good thoughts, whether that's a book, whether that's a podcast, like I think that'll have a great impact on your life if you do it consistently, for sure. It has for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's evident, it's evident in how you present yourself. It's evident in your Instagram. It's evident in your podcast. So I want to merge over to your podcast for a second because I got stuck in a Justin brain trail this weekend listening to the podcast. It's so good. It is so good. And I know it's new for you and your partner. So I just want to talk a little bit about the podcast, Born to Be Great, and why you decided to start it. I know you had told me you like Nick at the beginning, you had said like Nick, you and Nick wanted to start it. But what I think is really awesome, the stories are inspirational. And it feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've only listened to like 3 or 4, it's like you're interviewing these people that have lived their life as one identity. And now they're merging into becoming something else, right? Whether it's an athlete that's been an athlete his whole life and now he's becoming a business person, or different people doing different things. So how did you decide to do a podcast about this type of stuff? Like, how did this come to be? Because it truly is a mindset. I think it's a mindset podcast.
Yeah, no, like I said earlier, like me and Nick hit it off, but we hit it off on the personal development stuff. And for me, I'm a big believer when it comes to business specifically, because, Nick and I are both entrepreneurs. Business to me is like 80% psychology. So it's mostly mindset. And it's 20% of like how to actually sell a customer, fulfill an order, all that kind of stuff. Right. And so when we were like, hey, like you want to do a podcast, we're both like personal development junkies. And so we love talking about this stuff anyway. And when we both met each other, we were like, dude, like we don't meet a lot of people like this, like to each other. And so when we looked out at some of the podcasts we saw from our demographic, our age group, we were like, a lot of younger guys are talking about this kind of stuff. And we both loved, Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, Andy Frisell, all these kind of guys. Right. And we're like, let's just do that because we both love it anyway. And, we brought in like the sports twist to it because, Nick was a pro player. I'm an investor in a professional soccer team here in town. So I love sports as well. And then, the business side of things, because we're both entrepreneurs and we're like, we love talking about this kind of stuff. We have an awesome Rolodex of people we can bring on. And the mindset stuff, which I think is like, I think 95% of people's problems nowadays, at least in the United States, come from like a crappy mindset. Like,
Agree.
it's because we weren't taught mindset in school. And so we were just like, how can we help some people who, like improve their mindset with stories from people who have done it for themselves? Because if you ask me my story, and if you ask Nick his story, there was like, it was like this, and then there was a fucking woo, and then there was like a bottom. and we both had the bottom, but then you rise out of the ashes like the phoenix. And we try to bring people on like that who have had that. And I think most people, unfortunately, I don't believe this to be 100% true. You don't have to go through that hell or whatever you want to call it. If they make it to the other side, they become totally different, better versions of themselves. And the people we have on, we're just like, how can we bring on people who are either great in business, great in sports, people we admire in life who have a great mindset, where it's just like, we want to talk to them. We can also have fun and, help some people in the process. So that was like sort of our thinking behind it. And, we sort of just didn't know what we were doing at first, and eventually hired a producer, and he's been really helpful. So we've got a lot of really cool guests coming on. And then, we just started hitting up our friends that we liked and thought that we could bring on. And so it's just been fun, and came out with an episode today with Sean Clifford of the Bengals, which would be pretty cool. And so he talked about his business, how he sold his company while he was in college, and what it's like to play in the league now. And so he's a friend of ours, which is really cool. So it's just doing stuff like that. And then, we're excited to bring on some of these awesome entrepreneurs and guests for the next 2 weeks that we got going on. But yeah, just trying to spread a good message, because that's what changed our lives,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amani, really quick, I'm going to take one more. I know I'm taking over, just one more though. So Justin, a common thread that I see in the podcast too is like you have this moment, right, where like you pirouette into something else, or like you said, you go down and then you come back up. What was that for you? What was that moment where you were like, okay, I need to make a change, or this isn't working for me, or I just feel stuck? Like, I hate to say rock bottom, but like, what was that? But I think we all go through like ups and downs where we course correct. Like, what was that moment that changed it for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think I had a few. Actually, tomorrow is a date that I don't really love, because I guess it's been 11 years now. Yeah, the 11 years since my grandfather passed, and my grandfather started our company, and like he was like my role model growing up, and like I didn't really know him too well too, because he had Alzheimer's and he was in a wheelchair. But whenever I was around him, I just felt like I could do anything, and so I felt like he was like telepathically like just telling me like, Justin, you're gonna do something awesome with your life, So 11 years ago, I remember I was in school and I was walking out to my car, and then I get this call from my dad. He's like sobbing on the phone. I'm just like, oh no, like this never happens. Like something not good's about to come out of his mouth. And he's like, Poppy passed away. You got to come home. And so I was already not having a fun time in school, and I was doing okay, but like I didn't want to go to class. And so I drive back home, and I'm just like, I'm so over everything. Like grandfather just passed away. Like I don't want to go back to school. I don't know what I want to do with my life. And so that's pretty much what happened. I just was like in a little bit of a funk and didn't go back to class, and ended up like dropping out, I guess, in a sense. And then went back to school later. So that was one moment. And then another moment after for me was after I graduated, when I was in the business and the pandemic happened. And right beforehand, I went to this YPO event. I don't know if you guys are familiar with YPO.
Yep.
I do a lot of business with YPO. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I went to this YPO event, and it was for, kids of YPOers. And basically they just sat us in this room, and like you meet people and stuff, but you're at this table with a bunch of strangers, and they just flat out ask you like, what's the worst moment of your life? And I'm just like, what am I doing right now? And so we all go around the table. I tell the story about my grandfather, and that whole weekend was just about like breaking you down, building you back up. And I met some of my best friends at that weekend, and I left that weekend feeling like super weird. I was like, okay, I have this weight off my shoulders now. I feel amazing, but at the same time, I feel super weird. Like what just happened? But I wanted more of it. I was like, I don't have any of these kind of relationships with any of my super close friends. Like, how can I get more of this? And so two of the guys that I met there, and then one of my friends who I knew was going to the event, they put me in this personal development course. It was a Mind Valley course. And I got addicted to it. And I was just like, holy shit, this is the key. And I just decided right then and there, like I went and found the Tony Robbins of the world, all that stuff. And every day, I think probably since 7 years ago, every single day I'm either listening to something, I'm reading something. It's just been nonstop. And I've just been continuing to learn and grow. And that's when my life really I decided to change. But I think it came through little pain points. And then eventually when COVID happened too, our business was down 85% because, we're in the food business, right? Like I'm selling to these big companies, but they're all just trying to survive. So it's not like I can go out and get new business. We're just trying to survive too. So my business is down 85%. We sell it the year before. So we're like a little bit like, okay, we get a little bit lucky here. And so our sort of lives are just like weird, right? And like, I remember I was hanging out on the beach here and they shut it down. I was like, okay, what's going on? So yeah, my business was down. I was like, I'm not letting the world stop me. Like, I'm not gonna let this happen anymore. So I was like, I'm doing this personal development stuff. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to make sure our business comes back better than ever, which it did. We had the best 2 years after that. And that was just sort of like my mindset there. But I think it came through pain. And unfortunately, I think at least most adults, they don't really change unless they go through pain. Like there's actually a lot of like scientific studies about this
Yeah.
too. But I don't believe in like, I don't want it to be like that for most people, which is actually like, I'm writing a book right now too, which talks about some of this stuff. But that was like my moment for me. It was like a little bit of my grandfather, a little bit of the pandemic, and just meeting some people who really changed my life. And like, that's why I feel like I'm probably 98% of the reason why I'm sitting here talking with you all today is because of the mentors and the people in my life. Like I can't credit to anyone else.
Pain to progress. Pain to progress. I love that.
Yeah. I want to kind of stay on the mindset because I find it fascinating because not many people are as open to talk about it as you are. And I want to read kind of this quote because you mentioned him, and most people don't really mention him in kind of our space, but you talked about Dr. Wayne Dyer. He says, if you change the way that you look at things, the things that you look at change. What's your thought on that quote, and what do you think? Because that's one of my favorite quotes by him because he's got a lot.
Yeah, he's a goat, man. My thoughts are he's 100% right. You know, I think, you know, we all have, that's why I love Man's Search for Meaning so much, because it's just a book about choice, right? Like you can look at the world and be like, oh, woe is me. Or you can look at the world and be like, this is fucking awesome. Like I can do whatever I want. And so it's not like things are physically changing in front of you, but you start to see opportunity and challenges to overcome versus just like, woe is me and problems all the time. And so, yeah, I love listening to Wayne Dyer. Like his books are amazing. Sky's the Limit is probably my favorite book that I've read by him. But the way he talks, I love his talks. So I'll listen to I think I was listening to an audiobook the other day, How to Be a No Limit Person. Yeah, I'm on chapter 7 right now, How to Be a No Limit Person. And so I love Wayne Dyer, man. He actually, my current coach that I work with today, Wayne Dyer actually mentored him for many, many years. So that's been really cool for me just to keep learning from Wayne indirectly in a way. But yeah, another person who changed my life. And, you know, Mandy, you know, Jesse was always talking about how Wayne changed Sarah's life. So I love Wayne Dyer. He's awesome.
Yeah, he has this one story. He talks about this one kid who was in elementary school and no one paid attention to him except this one teacher. And the one teacher kind of followed him along his life path. And then when he got married, she was there. And it was just an amazing story. I have to send it to you, man. It's an amazing story. It's in one of his talks because he gives this breakdown. And then I always remember Theo, who's a comedian. He talks about nothing changes if nothing changes. He talks about that too. And that, my next question, because I have 2 of 3, is a lot of times entrepreneurship is kind of glamorized. And it's speaking back to what you said about a lot of people see the Instagram pictures and all this, but people don't talk about the hard work and how about taking action. Why do you feel that so many people nowadays struggle to take action, specifically entrepreneurs who want to do something, but they just don't kind of get off the bench and go do it?
Man, I feel like I go a lot of ways with this question. I mean, the first thing that comes to me, and I say this a lot, is because you probably don't know yourself well enough to like go after what you want. Because if you actually knew what you wanted, you just go do the thing. I think part of it too is there's so many options nowadays. But I think that comes back to like knowing yourself, which is actually what my book's really about in a big way. So part of that to me is, you know, understanding your genetics, understanding yourself about what you actually like to do, what you talk about on a Saturday night, and then just going all in on something that, for me, the ultimate question is just like, you know, if you had all the money in the world and you could be successful at anything, like what would you spend your time doing for work? And like people struggle to answer that question. I'm like, dude, any job pays you the same amount of money. What are you doing? And like people just can't pick. And so for me, I think people probably struggle to take action because they don't know that about themselves. They don't know what they would actually want to do. And you know, I struggle with this, but I had coaches that have beaten it into me, and they're just like, dude, like you got to get super clear about what you want and then reverse engineer from there. So if you're like, I want to become the best neurosurgeon, okay, like that's my goal. Now, what do I got to do? Reverse engineer to get there, right? So I think it's getting clear on the end goal and then reverse engineering. But a lot of entrepreneurs, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are actually really soft too, and so I think part of it is a mindset thing. I've been in rooms with some heavy hitters, and they're probably like top tier when it comes to mindset, but a lot of them, like, people just get in their own way, man. Like a lot of people are just victim of their own minds. I mean, like I'm speaking from experience because I know what I've been there myself, and I'm not trying to like belittle anyone, but it's like it is hard. Like you're choosing, but it's also a choice too. So like you're understanding, you have to understand, like I am putting myself in the situation. I get to be an entrepreneur. I don't really have to. I mean, again, that's just how I see it. No one's, forcing you to do anything, at least if you live in the States, right? That's just my belief for the most part when it comes to business. So for me, it's just like, when you commit to this thing, like commit and just take the action. Like I'm a big believer in, reading, finding mentors who can help you and taking action at the same time. Don't just read all the books and do nothing with it. Like you got to implement. That's the only way it's going to be valuable. Right. So to me, it's just like, understand where you want to go, how you got to get there, maybe find someone who can help you and just do the thing. And it's just, it's a daily action. Sometimes you're going to get punched in the face. Like people are going to quit you. You might get a million no's till you get that one yes to start your company. Like I had someone message me yesterday. She's like, I'm not trying to out her here, but she's like, what do you think about raising money during like a recession or a war? I'm like, why are you even thinking about that? Like, it doesn't matter.
Just raise the money. Go get it.
Yeah. Just go do the thing.
Yeah.
But so many people are focused on, again, and I love Tony Robbins for this, but there's like, he's always talking about how people focus more on what they can't do versus what they can do. They're more focused on the past versus, the present, and they're more focused on the future that hasn't happened yet. And they're more focused on, what they don't have versus what they have. And so it's just, if you can change your focus, that's going to change how you feel, and how you feel is going to change your action. So to me, it's just like, again, I come back to the psychology and mindset all the time, where it's just like, the information is not the issue. Like you can ask ChatGPT, like, how do I start this LLC? Like what CPA do I need to call? Like who do I need to hire? Like all the information's out there. It's your psychology that's getting in the way. It's you are probably getting in your own way. And so I know I threw a lot at y'all right there, but to me, it's just like, there's a lot of variables to this stuff, but I think it's mostly the individual getting in their own way. And I think that's just more of a mindset thing.
Yes. If we were at a speakeasy, we would play some, where's my little snapping of fingers here? We play little snapping of fingers. So yes, we play little snapping of fingers there. So yes. What's up, everybody? I want to tell you and encourage you to purchase my book, my award-winning USA Today best-selling book, The Quiet Storm, a historical and cultural analysis of the power, passion, and pain of R&B groups. If you want to get one copy, you can go to Amazon, look up The Quiet Storm book, Amani, find it there. If you want to order multiple copies, then go to thequietstormbook.com, fill out the form, order the books. I'll send them to you. I love to share with you my love of R&B groups, the history from the 1950s to the mid-2000s, what happened to all the R&B groups, and what's going to happen next. Buy your book now. Thank you very much. See you soon. Now, let's do this. Let's flip the script. We'll let you ask both myself and Mandy any question you want. No question is off limits. So what question do you want to ask, and who do you want to ask that question to first? And you can ask two different questions, whatever you like. We're flipping the script.
Well, you were talking about the mixtapes earlier. Like, did they work?
Hold on, that's a great one. No one's ever asked that before. Yes, they worked. They did very well for me. Yes, they worked very well. So yes, I need to probably do more of them currently. So yes, I would think they worked. I moved around a bunch. So I kept the list of the songs I put on each one because I don't keep the tape. So I have to kind of go back and look and see what they are. But yeah, they were very effective. I'm very proud of my work.
Money.
Oh, that's awesome. That's hilarious. And I guess for Mandy, I guess I'm curious, what was your like biggest takeaway from that weekend with Jesse? I had a bunch of takeaways, so curious what your thoughts are there.
I mean, I have a whole journal of takeaways. I think I have like 27 pages of takeaways. But I know. Yeah, I know. We got twinsy binders. I know. I think it's just a reminder. And this, again, I know all this stuff, right? We all know all this stuff, but it's just a good reminder of, if you want to live an exceptional life, you have to put yourself in a room with exceptional people. You have to be willing to do exceptional things. And then you've got to link up to that stuff, right? You've got to register it. You've got to activate on it and just continue to pursue exceptional opportunities. I mean, I think the coaches were phenomenal, but I really, really loved the people that attended. Like I felt like everywhere I looked, I learned something from somebody, and everybody's story was unique, and everybody was so willing to share, and everybody was willing to grow. And it's a rare air where you're in an environment, and I'll be curious if you felt the same way. It's just rare air where you're in an environment where everybody wants to be better, and not just egotistically better. Like they want to give in a better way. They want to be better. They want to give feedback. Like it was very special. So yeah, those are some of my takeaways.
Love it. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it is extremely rare, but you find some of those people, and you don't need a whole lot of them, but I think a few very, powerful people can change your life. And I've loved Jesse's stuff for a long time, and when I went to his first event last year, like I met so many awesome people, and we're still friends to this day, and we talk all the time. So I think there's a lot of power in these events and putting people in the right rooms. And yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like again, it's been probably some of these events. Each event that I've gone to, it's funny. The last probably 4 or 5 events that I've gone to, I've either gotten a business deal out of, or I've gotten some cool friends out of, for sure. And I think there's a lot of power in going to events. So that's something I did not do for a long time, and I wish I was better at. Like when I first started in the business game, even before, like I just wish I went to more events. And I wasn't, I guess, into the personal development stuff as much back then. But even the first few years of business, I would go to like the food events that we would do and stuff like that. But like the intentional business events or like the personal development stuff, like shoot, those things, the right environments can change your life. So yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah. Well, I want to pirouette here for a second and talk about investments, because I know a lot of people, they're afraid to ask for an investment, or they just think it's so complicated. They think there's just like so much more to it than there is. And I know different. And I know most of us know different. But for you personally, when you're looking to invest in a business, what are 3 things important to you personally? What are you looking for?
Yeah, well, actually, I literally just got off a call right before this with a company that I'm looking at, just to hear the founder speak, and it was a group call. But for me, number one, it's always the people. Like, again, you can put a person in an okay industry, and they'll probably do, well. But if you put an okay person in a, really, really good industry, they'll probably do well because of the industry. But I'm always looking at the people, right? Like, do they invest in themselves? Do they have the hunger to become, better, learn more, desire to grow? Like, that's really important to me, because if like, the people you do business with, like it's almost as important as, who you marry, in a sense, right? Like business partnerships can get ugly and they can get messy. So you got to be really aligned on like values. And I think for me, if it's like, if you have a really good leader, like a really good leader is going to attract really good talent, and really good talent makes a good business. And I'm just a big believer in all starts at the top, right? Like I don't care what industry you're in. If you're someone that people want to work for, like you're going to have a good business. Like if everyone had, we had 85 employees when we sold. If I had 85 A+ players, my business would be 10 times as big. And we were always looking for the best, but that's just not how things work all the time, right? So for me, it's always the person, number one. I would say number 2 is definitely the industry itself. Like I focus more on food and beverage because I come from that space. I like real estate, land, in sports. I got the soccer team here. That's exciting to me. It's also in a real estate in a sense. So the industry matters. If you came to me and you're like, Justin, like if I loved you, Mandy, which I do, and you're like, I got this awesome business opportunity, but you're like, it's a single lemonade stand. I'm like, I can't invest in a single lemonade stand. That doesn't make sense. But if you come to me, you're like, hey, I have this awesome lemonade. I want to go sell it to, McDonald's or Burger King or whatever. Then it's like, but now we're talking a whole different ballgame. So the opportunity matters. What boat we're rowing in matters. And then 3 for me, I think it's the timing. I think this is something that a lot of investors and entrepreneurs don't pay enough time or attention to, excuse me. Like right now we're in this AI boom. And if you came to me and you're like, Justin, I'm going to go start a newspaper company. I'm like, no one reads the newspaper anymore. Maybe they will if no one wants to deal with AI anymore in the future. I don't know. But like, I would not invest in a newspaper business. And so I think that has to do with the environment and the timing. So I'm always looking at those 3 through that lens of like, what's going on right now? Like the actual industry, like what's a trend, what's more of a fad. And I think even in food and bev, like I see this stuff all the time. Like there's a big protein craze nowadays. Like everything's got protein in it. Like, I think I saw a business the other day. It was a pasta sauce company with protein. I'm like, dude, I just want a good pasta sauce. I don't need the protein in my pasta sauce.
Like I'll add some meat. I can figure out how to get my protein in that.
What's going on here? So I'm always looking at those 3. And I think, being able to see patterns and then, actually forecast into the future of what you think is going to happen with, once you have that information. That's just sort of how I do things. But really at the end of the day, it's always the people. Like I actually talked to a founder the other day. She's working on this crazy opportunity in the manufacturing space, and she's just a badass. And I need to talk to one of her investors if I'm going to go forward with her or not. But I just thought she was kick ass. And I was like, she's like, I want to change the world. And I'm just like, I like you. Like, I love this attitude. Like, if you can take that every day to your business, like, it's probably going to grow and you're going to overcome the challenges which come in business. Again, back to the mindset thing. It's like, people are going to quit you. That investor is going to pull out. Like, someone might sue your ass. Like, I've been through it. So that mindset, I think, will take people far. And so I'm always looking for that in any business, or I guess people that I invest in.
It's awesome. Thank you.
What's been the best investment you've made in yourself?
My sauna.
Tell us
Besides the books. Okay, actually, serious. It is the sauna, but I would say the coaching, man. Like, I probably spend multiple six figures a year, my own money, not money that's run through the business, my own personal money. So I'm held accountable on coaching, on mentorship. That has changed my life more than anything. And I've been very fortunate that I've had mentors that I've met organically, that have, my own family members. But mentorship, man, like, I think it's such a cheat code that when you talk about paying for it, people are like, why would you ever do that? And I used to think this way. I literally remember I was talking to one of my buddies and everything was going well for me. Like, we were about to sell the company and stuff too. And I was like, just not feeling great. And he's like, have you ever thought about hiring a coach? I said, no, I don't need a coach. I've been doing this stuff. And I call him back like 30 minutes later. I'm like, can I actually talk to your coach? And that's the guy I mentioned earlier. Dude changed my life. Wasn't cheap. And then the next coach, the guy I'm working with now, he's like 10 times the price, but it's been another amplifier. And if you can just find people that have been where you are now and like have done what you want to do, and they can tell you, Justin, don't go down this path, go this way. I've already been there before. That doesn't work. And they can teach you a lot of this stuff, and you can associate with them. And again, their thinking becomes your thinking, and their relationships become your relationships. Like, sure, you might have to pay for it, but I think that's such a cheat code. And that has changed my life. And again, books are mentors. People are always asking me, Justin, how do I find a mentor? I'm like, dude, they're looking for you. Like, they're not posting YouTube videos to not get views. Like, they're not coming out with podcasts. They're not writing books to not sell them. Like, they're looking for you. Like, so mentorship has probably been the number one. I think it comes in the form of books, podcasts. My favorite is the in-person mentor, because I think that changes your life very quickly. But also, the caveat here, they actually got to give a shit about you.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important. Like, your lawyer, we all might have lawyers, right, for business, but they might have a bunch of other clients, and that one day they might be paying attention to you, but the next day they don't even think about you anymore. So it's like, you got to find people who actually care about you and are thinking about you. They have to have a lot of experience in what you want to do or where you want to be. And then I think, having that skin in the game and like the values equation, or I look at it holistically, like, right, just because you're successful in business doesn't mean I want to trade lives with you. Like, for me, you got to have the whole package. Like, that's why I like Jesse so much, because I think he does a really good job holistically at life. And he's flat out said this to me. He's like, I know a lot of great entrepreneurs, but I'm really good at life. And so for me, the best investment has been going to those seminars, meeting those people, like taking the best and like leaving the rest, for lack of a better term. And if I can take that and apply it to my life, like I said earlier, 98% of the reason, I'll give myself 2% of the credit because I did the work, is because I took that information, I applied it to myself. I saw if it worked. I kept doing what worked. I tried a little bit. I might have, messed up a little bit here and there, but I've had people help me along the way. And I think for my age, I've done a lot of things, and I've been very fortunate as well, but that's changed my life more than anything. And, that information, there's a reason why insider information on the stock market is so powerful. Like, you're going to jail if you get insider information. It's because that insider information is going to make you a ton of money. Well, do you think Warren Buffett's giving away all of his information for free online? Like, no. like you got to pay to go get the good stuff. So I'm like, dude, if you can afford it, like, my rule for me is I take 10% of what I earn every year automatically, like, into an investment. Like, it's coaching for me, books, all that stuff, automatic tax off the top. And for me, like, Tony Robbins isn't putting out his good shit on YouTube. You got to go to Date with Destiny. Like, I've been to Date with Destiny. I got my binder right in front of me.
How many binders are in front of you right now?
Oh, man,
you've got Jesse's. You've got
1, 2, 3, 4 binders.
I love a binder.
Man, I got a bunch of binders in here. I got tons of binders.
Block likes binders.
Yeah. Now,
I like a binder.
If we were going to take you in a time machine, we're going to take Justin of today back to the Justin right when he's graduating in Gainesville from the University of Florida. What advice would you give your younger self based on everything you've learned so far in life?
I mean, I definitely tell him to, stay on the path, keep going. Like, I think if you told me like right now, like back then, like what I've accomplished right now, I probably wouldn't believe it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I'd change much. I'd maybe tell him to read more, like, dude, double down on the reading. Like, probably could get even more far ahead because, Elon Musk growing up, he read 2 books a day. Um, Warren Buffett reads 800 pages a day now. So it's like if they're already really good at what they do. If they're reading that much, I got to read more. So I'd probably tell myself to read a little bit more, maybe invest even more in myself. I don't know. Um, but for the most part, I'm not like, I don't like to think about the past much. Like I'm only going back to the past either like to learn something or like to get a good laugh in. But yeah, I'd probably just tell myself to stay the course, man. Keep going and, learn more, invest in yourself more. Keep doing that.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Over to you, Manny, to close us out.
Yeah. So I just have two final questions. So you have talked about tremendous growth through mindset, through pulling these levers of mentorship and building your network and everything. But I've gone through this before, and I don't know if you're like me on this one. So this is why I'm curious is I've gone through these growth spurts where I'm growing past some of my friends or some of my family, and eventually they catch up or they fall off, and it's nobody's better or worse, right? Like I'm just making choices for myself, and sometimes it can be lonely, and then you find your people, and then sometimes it can be lonely, you find your people. So like, how have you handled those growth spurts, and have you left anybody in the dust? Like how has this growth spurt looked for you?
That's an awesome question. Um, I've definitely left some people in the dust. Not, I guess not intentionally, but we're just on different paths, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, like I would say I probably only talked to one person from high school. And he's my best friend. We went to like elementary school together.
Mhm.
So I've known him like my whole life and he's awesome. And I wish he lived back. He's from here, but he doesn't live here anymore. I wish he lived here. But yeah, no, for me, it's just like I think it's just part of the game, right? And I think if you are on this path to growth, like it is going to be a little bit challenging. Like you might have that no man's land period, but you usually do find your tribe. And
Mhm.
I've a long time ago, I really did try to like bring people along. I was like, dude, like you should read this book or like you should come meet this person or you should come to this event with me. And they were just like, no, I just want to go out and go to the bar and go to my job and do whatever. I'm just like, okay, cool. Like I got no ill will against you. If you support me, I support you. We're cool. But for me, again, talking about reading books and surrounding yourself with the right people, like who you surround yourself with is who you become at the end of the day. Like I don't care who you are, your environment matters so much. We could all be saying this amazing stuff right now, and like we could be chanting like, "Oh, like this is the best stuff ever." But if I put us in a fucking like negative 30-degree freezer, like I used to have at my office, we'd be freezing our asses off as long as we, But like we're saying, "I'm warm, I'm warm, I'm warm." The environment matters. So think of the environment like the people, right? And so for me, yeah, like I knew going into this, like as I was doing it, like a lot of people didn't like what I was doing. I would actually learn down the line too was like if they're calling you out on a bunch of stuff, that just means like they feel insecure within themselves
Yes.
and
That's right.
they're just they just know like deep down, like,
Mhm.
oh, Justin's doing this. Like, why can't I do it? I'm just going to go berate him because it's a little easier than actually having to face myself and my feelings and like question the things that I've been doing. So I've got to understood that. And I've met a lot of people too, who are like, dude, it's just part of the game. But I think, there's that quote, at least in business, where like, it's lonely at the top. I don't believe in that really. Like you climb the mountain and then you climb the next mountain, but all along the way, you're going to find people climbing the mountain. So when you go to the Jesse event, you're going to meet other people on the path.
Yeah.
You just got to keep putting yourself out there. And like, I never would have predicted I would have met Nick. But you, like we were talking about earlier, like putting yourself in exceptional situations, that is a real thing. You got to do that and go find the people. Like they're looking for you just as much as you're looking for them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've been on that path before. I still feel like I'm in that a little bit, but like I've always just trusted that I'll find my people, and I've been very fortunate. Like I can count, more on both hands. Very fortunately, I have like really great people in my life who I can call, and they're like really good friends of mine. But that came from going to the events and just putting myself out there, and just if we're not into this, like pretty much flat out, like if you're not into business, or if you're not into personal development, like it's really hard for me to be friends with that kind of person nowadays. But like I'm still
Yeah.
friendly with people, right? But yeah, no, it is tough. I definitely found myself at times in the past being like, am I crazy? Like no one else, it's very rare for me to find someone else who like is into this kind of stuff. I literally had a conversation with a friend the other day and she was saying the same thing. And I'm just like, you just got to keep going again. But, I wouldn't go back. Like, I think it's more important to like feel good about yourself. And I think that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day, right? Like how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself. Like when your head hits the pillow, like, do you feel good about what you've done? Like how you think? And you might not be surrounded by a whole lot of people. Your best friends might be in other states, like a lot of my best friends in other states. But I know like the path that I'm on is right for me, and so I enjoy that as much as I can. And if people want to come along, if you're hanging out with me, you're gonna fucking win. Like I'll give myself some credit now. Like you're gonna win.
Yes.
And if not, like that's fine too. And so I don't try to be the tugboat anymore. And so I just do my thing. And if they want to come along, they come along. But I've had a lot of fun, but I've definitely questioned like a lot of the stuff too. But now I know, like, because I've just been doing it for enough time where it's like, you'll find your people. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
Amen.
I love that. Well, I feel the same. Like now there's no question. Like I'm on a stratosphere and I'm just rocket shipping it, like there's no question about it. I had somebody ask me, I don't even know how long ago now, but somebody said, how long is this sustainable? I'm like, this is my life. This doesn't have an expiration point. Like this doesn't end like this.
Yeah. You're either growing or you're dying. Like
that's right. Yeah. So that's really cool. And
I'm a big believer in that.
And I think your advice is important too, of like, you will find your tribe and it may feel lonely for a little bit, but like you will find the people that want the same for themselves that you want for yourself. So I love hearing you say that.
And that's the greatest thing you can do for someone is to improve your life. Because again, we can't force people to change, but like, if we can be an example and I'm like, oh, I see Mandi, she's posting on her Instagram, like she's going to the gym. Like it makes me want to go to the gym. It may not make some other people go, but like to be the example, I think that's the best thing you can give other people, because that'll have that ripple effect. And then eventually that ripple effect will attract other people and then it'll just grow from there. But it will take some time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's the best gift you can give yourself and other people.
I agree. All right. Well, speaking of time, you have given us so much time today. We are so grateful to have you here with us. So how can we give back to you? How can we lift you up? How can we support you? Like what do you have out there in your world that you want to talk about, or that we can lift you and support you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I would just say follow me on Instagram. It's just Justin M. Block. I am coming out with a book later this year, which I haven't talked about enough. We talked about the podcast. I got my podcast with Nick called Born to Be Great. So if anyone wants to check that out, we're talking with a bunch of cool entrepreneurs, pro athletes, stuff like that. And then, yeah, I feel like that's it for the most part. I don't got anything to sell, at least my book for later. But
yeah.
Other than that, yeah, just follow along if you like business or personal development stuff.
All right, follow Justin. Listen to his podcast, Born to Be Great. It is so good. It's so inspirational. And Justin, Amani and I both are 2-time authors, and we know how important it is to have a book army and to have people support you in that pre-sale and regular process. So when you get there, I'm sure I can speak for Amani too, but we will gladly be a part of your book army and tell the world about your book. I'm sure it'll be great, but reach out to us as well. We're happy to help you when you get to that process too, because that's exciting. That's exciting part of life too.
Awesome.
Cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Thanks for giving us so many nuggets and gems. That's the theme for today, Mandi.
Nuggets and gems.
I really appreciate the commitment and the discussion about personal development, because not many people really share that. So we appreciate your honesty, and it's great. It's great to be in the room with you. Round of applause here for Justin. So clap there.
Oh,
we'll put you.
So polite. Such a polite clap.
We'll put you back in the green room real quick and close out the show. So with that, Mandi, another good show, great show. We're off next week, right? We're taking a break for spring break.
We are, but we're taking a break for spring break, but we are going to air at the same time we do every week. We are going to air the interview from last year that we did when I interviewed you about your book, The Quiet Storm.
Yes.
So, which you forced me to read in a week time frame, and I am a slow reader, but it was so wonderful, and I'm excited to republish that for everybody, because it was a fun interview. But it was also I learned a lot about you personally, but I also learned a lot about your music book.
Yes, thank you. Well, we appreciate that. Thanks again to our guest today, Justin. And with that, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on the platforms you're watching or listening on. Tell a friend. And we will see you next week for that replay, and in 2 weeks for another live episode. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Adventures in Business. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast on the platform that you're currently listening it on. And don't forget to share it with your friends and anybody that might be as much of the business nerds as Amani and I are. See you next time for another captivating interview.